I have had to wait so long to get this vintage collection artillery Stormtrooper. I saw Black Series get it, I even saw Hot Toys get it, and now it is finally time for the vintage collection's turn to get one of my favorite new Imperial Trooper designs. Yes, it is just an incinerator trooper, but yellow. I understand that, but I like that. I don't know, I'm a sucker for simple color swaps, and this is like the first Stormtrooper we've ever gotten with a yellow deco. You know, we've seen blue, we've seen red, but we haven't really seen yellow. We got that one Stormtrooper officer dude with the yellow striping on his arms that was like all the way out in like the Cade Skywalker era, but you know, it kind of doesn't really count. You know, this is like an actual trooper that you could have multiples of, and he's really cool, and he's yellow, and he's a mortar trooper. He's an artillery stormtrooper. And I think it's a really cool specialty that we really haven't seen in the Galactic Empire. That being said, how does this figure hold up? I think it holds up pretty well. I think it comes with a lot, and this is one of the few instances in the vintage collection where I feel like this is actually a pretty good bang for your buck. I'm really happy with this one. So before we talk about the figure, obviously we got to talk about the box. You can see I did pose him very similarly to the card back because I just think it looks nice. And I get a lot of people ask how I cut this. I just use an X-Acto knife and I just... I do have a video on it on my channel if you want to learn how to open up vintage collection card backs without tearing them and ruining the entire aesthetic. Love this card back. I do, however, need to discuss the figures on the back, because a lot of people ask me, oh, when are you going to review this, that, and the other? So I will be reviewing Cal Kestis, Luke Skywalker, and the Clotunian all together, because I have those. I'm waiting on Luke to do that video altogether. Cassian and Vel, I do not have those, and I don't even have them on pre-order, so I'll get them when I get them. I'm trying not to pre-order stuff the way I used to. So I'll get them, and I'll review those two together since they're both Andor themed, but that review will probably be a little ways away. But expect Cal, Clotunian, and Luke, hopefully within the next couple weeks or so. So, a very nice card back. I really do like it. I'll just kind of leave that back there because I think it looks nice. So, this figure also looks very nice in my humble opinion, to be honest, in my opinion, honestly. I mean, look at it. That is the artillery stormtrooper. You can get it posed where he's putting the thermal detonators in the little in the mortar launcher, and it looks really cool. The mortar launcher is very nice. I really do love the look of it. I love how this, as well as that, are on ball joints. That ball joint is connected in the box. However, this one, it was kind of difficult to pop that in. But once you pop it in, it's in there. It's in there solid. And I do appreciate that because you can actually pose it, you know, at different angles, different positions. It's a very nice accessory. I really, really like this. So you get the mortar, and you can't have the mortar launcher without actual mortars. And look, he's presenting it to you, if you don't pop his head off. He is presenting to you a thermal detonator, because he comes with not just one, but all of these extras that you can actually store and pop out of the backpack. Look at that. They're all separate accessories that go in there, and they all fit in nice and snug too. They kind of click in, so you don't have to worry about them falling out. I do have to say, since the far right spot has a notch in it, they don't sit as well there, but you can see it still clicks in. It's still in there, but I just feel like because of that notch, it's a little easier to remove that one. So, you know, since he's using one, I'll just pretend that that's the one he picked from first. The backpack, I actually have not removed it yet. It is removable. So it seems like he has like a newly developed upper torso to accommodate for this backpack. At least that's what I'm assuming. Because I also noticed his head pops off way easier, and the ball joint is seemingly bigger than what I've seen before. I say he's kind of out of focus. But yeah, look at that. You can remove that. You can remove the pauldron, and you can remove the backpack and just kind of have him as like a more standard looking yellowy stormtrooper. But I do love the yellow pauldron. I don't know, I just think he looks really nice. He holds the mortar so well. He holds the thermal detonator really well. You do have to stretch his hand a little bit and kind of get his thumb wrapped around it, but that is a very good, very natural grasp that he has on that. That looks really, really good. A lot of the rest of them is pretty similar to what you'd see. Speaking of very similar, just in case you don't want him with, you know, the mortar and everything, you do just get a standard E11 blaster, which is very nice. You can never have too many of these and I think it's very nice. I personally will not use him with that, but still, I mean, let's count how many accessories he has. Counting the pauldron and the backpack. I'm not going to count the individual parts on this, because that's kind of components to one thing. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 accessories for a standard vintage collection figure. This is actually a case of something where I'm kind of... Now, granted, I'm not complaining. I'm not saying that I wanted them to do this. But I'm kind of surprised they didn't make this deluxe and, like, you know, include a blast effect you could plug into the mortar launcher. You know, they could have done that. I'm very happy they did not, because that would have kind of irritated me. Because I don't need to pay more than the $15 retail. Well, now it's like $17, which is ridiculous. Yeah, man. Oof. Man, these prices. And Hasbro's suffering because of it, too. The increasing sensitivity of the pricing. Oh, man. This guy does not want to stay in focus. Man, it's always these little small 3 3/4 inch reviews where they still want to focus. Yeah, I mean, he's really cool. One thing I do have to point out, though, you know, you put this other thermal detonator in his backpack, and that looks all nice. And then you want him to hold a gun, because of how that stretched his hand. He can hold it, but it's not going to be as firm as it would have been. So keep that in mind if you would ever want him displayed like this with the E11. You know, that is going to stretch his hand. Man, that just looks so cool. He does look cool with this. Ah, man. I only got the one for now because I'm trying to not army build as much as I was. But I might, you know, if by hilarious chance I actually find a new Star Wars toy in retail stores. Isn't that funny? You know, if I find this in stores, I might pick up another one. Or if it goes on sale on Amazon or something. Because it looks really cool, you know, maybe having one like this, then another like manning the mortar. That'd look really cool. I just really like this design. I really think it lends itself for a cool looking Imperial Trooper. I just really like it. So going over his articulation, it's pretty much what we've seen with the newer style Stormtroopers. Dumbbell joint at the head, ball hinges at the shoulders. I've noticed the joints actually seem a lot more fluid on this figure than I've seen on previous Stormtroopers. Especially with the elbows and the knees, too. A lot of the knees on these Stormtroopers are kind of tight, and I'm worried they're going to break. But no, they're perfectly fine on this. He does have the ball hinges still at the hips, unfortunately, instead of ball joints. I would love to see a revision for this mold where they give it the ball joints at the hips, because then it would be perfect. This would be the perfect Stormtrooper, and I think Hasbro is the best Stormtrooper on the market. But I do think the newer Black Series mold Stormtrooper, because it has the ball jointed hips, beats it by just a hair. If they improve that, then I think this is the best Stormtrooper. Yeah, man, I love it. Very solid figure. Highly recommend it to add to your Imperial Army. It's cool. I like it. Let's get that out again. There we go. Then how I get this in there, you kind of stretch the hand, and then the thumb, you want to make sure it's kind of wrapped around it just a little bit. And then let's replicate the pose on the card back, because I think it's a really cool pose. So we'll get him kind of situated, kneeling a little bit. If I have one complaint about the figure, like this is my only complaint. By the way, this is actually the new version with the rocker, so it's really nice. If I had one complaint, it would be the mouth. The fact that it's painted all black instead of being like black with gray venting. That's my only complaint. That's it. That's all I can think of. And even then, that's nothing, man. That's nothing. I really don't have much of a complaint because that's all I've really got. So there we go. Really cool figure. Really recommend it. It's one of my favorite Stormtroopers they've put out recently. It really is. When it comes to this new mold. Now, granted, if there wasn't a Force Unleashed Commander version that exists, because that exists, and that's my favorite. But besides that one, this is probably my favorite. And it's really cool. It's a retail release, too. I feel like all these cool troopers are exclusive or whatever. But no, this one was a standard retail. If your stores actually stock Star Wars toys, which is awful that I have to say that nowadays, if your stores actually carry Vintage Collection, you might actually find this. You know, it's really cool. You know, you'll see it alongside Cal Kestis and Luke Skywalker and Cassian Andor. It's a pretty solid wave. Has a couple that might be, you know, let's just say you might see a couple Klatooinian Raiders and Velsarthas left behind. You know, you might. But still, really solid figure. Expect reviews on the rest of the wave at some point in the future. Like I said, I'm waiting for Luke to review those 3, and then I don't even have the Andor ones. It's funny, the Andor show is really good, but when it comes to toys, it was a very good show, but not a very toyetic show. Let's just put it that way. Alrighty, guys, there we go. There's my review of the Artillery Stormtrooper from Vintage Collection. Thank you guys so much for watching. Special shout out to channel members as well. Thank you all so much for the continued support. Alrighty, there we go. Have a great one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.